guys, it's Drew here. What's up? Today I wanted to do about a video blog about who are the poor. Who really are the poor? Because oftentimes in political conversation, people always make it like the poor are this kind of fixed class of people that are always permanently disadvantaged, or they must be treated with so much respect, and they must be put on some kind of pedestal, as if those who produce in this country work exclusively for the poor. Like what we do should make sure that our poor are taken care of. And to some degree, as a charitable human being that's part of an organization that does $1 million in charity a day, like I said before in my videos, I don't do all the charity, but I do my part. But as part of as a member who's part of an organization, I understand the importance of charity, and I understand the importance of being charitable and being giving and compassionate. I understand all that, and I'm for all that. But I want to express the fact that the poor, like any other class, like the middle class, like the rich class, like the super rich class, like the oligarchs, the poor have their good and their bad. Not everybody that's poor is a saint. Somebody being poor does not make them automatically deserving of your goodwill or what you produce. Just because somebody is in a lower class, it doesn't mean that they deserve what you've created. Doesn't mean that they deserve what you've earned. There are some people that are very good people and they just fell on hard times, or some people who are working poor. You know how I know? Because I was poor once, because I fell on hard times, and because I fell out with my family, and because I had to do things on my own for the first time in my life. This was like 10 or more years ago, but I was one of those people. The other thing is that what a lot of Bernie Sanders and leftists and liberals need to understand is that poor is not a fixed class. Because they approach policy as if poor is a fixed class. Poor is like any other class, like middle class, like rich. It's a class that you can transition from. It's a class that you can move into or move out of. It's not something that you are completely fixed to. The only way that an individual will be completely fixed to a certain class is if their mindset is of that class. Meaning that if their mindset does not adopt or does not adapt to make them fit into any other class. There's a middle class mindset, there's a rich mindset, there's a super rich mindset, and there's a poor mindset. And typically I think one of the most important differences between poor people, middle class, and rich people is that poor people, overall, what I see to be the defining theme, people who remain poor, I'm not saying people who are temporarily poor or working poor and they working to get themselves out of it. I'm saying people who remain poor. The overall defining theme to them is that people who have more than them are evil. And I always hear this. Coming from them. It's like a sentiment. And how can you expect to progress if you think that people who do progress are evil? Because you inherently see something wrong with advancement. So how can you possibly advance? You see what I'm saying? If you think that you're more moral, or if you think you're a better person because you're poor, then by all means you're going to remain poor. And if being poor is success to you, then the more power to you, then you're successful. All I ask is that if you feel that being poor makes you a better person, and if you think that being poor makes you, if you're content with that and you're okay with that, then all I ask is that you don't demand things that other people have earned. You see what I'm saying? Like, if being poor makes you a better person, and you consider being poor a form of success, then all I ask is that you don't demand anything else from any other person. Meaning that you don't demand what other people have earned if you're content. Because I'll tell you what, middle class people don't demand, for the most part, they don't demand what other people have earned. People who are middle class, they don't demand it. They go in there and they sign a contract and they earn money. And they say, you know what? If you're not going to pay me, I'm not going to work for you. That's a trade-off. You see what I'm saying? Rich people, when they hire, they don't demand that people just work for them. They exchange money for labor. You see what I'm saying? They give people money for labor, for workers. They give people money for assets. It's a trade-off. It's an exchange going on there. The poor is the only class, for the most part. I'm not talking about the working poor. I'm talking about poor who don't do anything. The poor is the only class, for the most part, that just says gimme. There's nothing of exchange. There's nothing. It's just gimme. It's not like I'll work for it, I'll hustle for it, I'll do this for you. It's just give me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that everybody that's poor is like this, and I'm not trying to demonize the poor, but I'm simply saying that just because somebody is poor and their plight or their situation makes you feel better or feel more comfortable about yourself, it doesn't mean that that person is by default a better person than somebody who's rich, or that person is a better person than somebody who's middle class. You know, it doesn't mean that that's what it is. Poor people have their own shades of people. They have good people, they have bad people, and they have the in-betweeners. It's not just like because you're poor that all of a sudden you're a great person. Because I know some poor people that are just scumbags and they deserve to be exactly where they are because they don't do anything for anybody. They just lie around all day and they expect other people to do for them. And as a result, they're poor. And then I know some middle class people that are, they're nice people. They earn, they work, but they just don't have the ambition to push themselves to that next level. And they're content. They're okay. As long as they have the ability to earn, they'll work for it. And I respect that. And I know some rich people that are assholes. I know some rich people that are very good people. But I'll tell you this, most of the really kind people that I know, most of the people that have been very kind to me and good to me in my life are very wealthy people. Honestly, I've never met somebody that's poor that's been extremely kind to me. You know what I mean? I've never met somebody that's I've just never done it. I'm not, like I said, I'm not demonizing you because if you're poor or not. I'm just simply saying that every single class has its own shades of people. Like, they have different kinds of people in that class. And what I find most often is that people who are rich, most of the people, there's some scumbags that are rich, don't get me wrong, but most of the people that I've met who are rich, I've personally met, are people who sacrifice to get there. They put it on the line for their employees. They wake up every single day and they say, how am I going to accomplish this? And whether their pursuit is selfish or not, the result of their actions is profitable for so many people. And that's what capitalism is built on. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of giving, and there's nothing wrong with a little bit of charity, but it's got to be done in a way that is willing. It's not compassionate to just take from one person and give to another person. Besides the fact that it doesn't create value, it's not really truly compassionate. Charity must be done willingly. And not only that, there's always people say, oh, you're an asshole, you don't care about the poor. I do care about the poor. In fact, I care about the poor enough to do the research and do the studies and find out that there's always going to be a percentage poor. Because you know what? Some people just cannot adapt to the system. And I strongly believe in teaching men how to fish instead of feeding men fish every day. I believe in letting birds fly instead of flying for them every day. Because first of all, nobody owes it to you to feed you every single day. And honestly, it's just not fair for you to expect that of somebody, that they're going to abandon all that they do to produce for you and to become your slave because you can't produce for yourself. It's just, it doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? Like I said, I believe in charity. I believe in giving. I believe in being good to people who don't have much. But I don't believe in giving over your entire life just so people can just live off of you. They have to find a way, a hand up. They have to find a way to get out of their situation. They have to be motivated to get out of the situation. If they're not motivated to get out of their situation, you're not giving them a hand up. You're actually, reinforcing their behavior because they're not experiencing any negative stimulus from engaging in their behaviors. So you're reinforcing it, by just giving them things. And that's how my attitude comes down to when I'm, dealing with poor people. I was poor myself. I know how painful it is to be that. But it's painful to be that if you want to get out of it. If you don't want to get out of it and you've become accustomed to it and that's your life and that's what you expect, you can't expect or reasonably or fairly expect anybody else to participate in providing that kind of lifestyle for you consistently. And you can't expect people to just feed you your whole life. That's how I look at the poor, and that's how I look at the middle class and the rich. Every class has its bad apples and good apples. It's a mixed bag of people in each class. And that's all I got to say. I'm still Trump 2016. I still believe in making America great again. I believe he's going to be able to do it. And you guys have a wonderful day. Peace.